Part 1. In wealthy mansions. Trouble often hides behind marble walls, and sometimes it is far more dangerous than anything on the streets. She arrived here as nothing more than a delivery driver, but the moment she stepped across that threshold, she became a witness to a conspiracy that could cost the owner millions, and perhaps his life. Back then, she had no idea she was stepping into the very center of the game. In the gated community of Cedar Heights, the air was still the kind of quiet you only hear in museums after closing time. Then the calm was shattered by the whine of a small engine. A bright red scooter zipped along the stone-paved street. Lydia Whitmore had no idea that this trip would change her life forever. The houses here were jaw-dropping. Each one could pass for a full-sized mansion, and some looked more like palaces. Pulling up to one of them, Lydia cut the engine, removed her helmet, and gave a low whistle. People really live like this. Not like us mortals, she muttered, straightening her delivery jacket. She rang the bell. The door opened just a crack, and a tall, impeccably dressed man appeared. Yes. His tone was cautious, but his eyes flicked down to the package in her hands. "Delivery for Mr. Anderson," Lydia said, holding out the box. The man hesitated, glanced around, and suddenly stepped aside. "Come in, quickly." Lydia frowned. This wasn't how deliveries usually went. But curiosity got the better of her, and she stepped inside. Part to the hallway smelled faintly of expensive cologne and polished wood. Somewhere deeper in the house, muffled voices could be heard. Lydia was about to hand over the package and leave when she caught a phrase that made her freeze in place. "We'll drive him out of the board by the end of the month. He won't even see it coming," said a woman's sharp voice. Another voice, a man's, low and smug, "And once that's done, the company is ours. The contracts are already lined up." Lydia glanced toward the sound. A slightly open door revealed to people a glamorous blonde woman in a silk blouse and a younger man with an expensive watch. The woman's manicured fingers tapped impatiently on the table. "Evan will never forgive me if this gets out," the blonde said. "It won't. We've covered every angle," the man replied. Lydia's pulse quickened. She didn't know who these people were, but the name Evan was clearly important. At that moment, the man who'd opened the door appeared again. "Miss, follow me." He led her into a sunlit study where a man in his early 40s, dressed in a tailored suit, was signing documents. He looked up, his gaze sharp. "I'm Evan Anderson, and you are." Lydia swallowed. "Just the courier. But I think you should know what I just heard." Part 3. Within 10 minutes, Lydia had told him everything, down to the exact words. Evan listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. Then he smiled faintly, though there was no humor in it. "That was my wife, Lydia, and her little protege, Mark, and yes, they're planning to take me down." He leaned back in his chair. "You've just become the most valuable witness in this entire mess." Lydia shook her head. "I don't want trouble." "I was just—" "You're already in it," Evan interrupted gently. "But I can make sure you're protected. And I think you might even enjoy helping me turn the tables." 2 days later, Lydia was no longer wearing her delivery jacket. Instead, she was in a sleek evening dress, sitting beside Evan at a long mahogany table during a board meeting. Part 4. The room buzzed with polite but tense chatter. Board members glanced curiously at Lavra, clearly wondering who she was. Lydia swept into the room like she owned it. In a way, she thought she did. Her smile faltered when she saw Lavra next to her husband. And who is this? Lydia's voice dripped with venom. Evan didn't flinch. This is someone who will make today very interesting. The meeting began. For the first half hour, it was routine. Then Evan rose, pulled out a folder, and laid a series of documents on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, these are copies of communications between my wife and Mr. Mark Benson, detailing their plan to remove me from my position and seize company assets. A collective gasp rippled around the table. Lydia went pale, then flushed bright red. "This is outrageous," she snapped. Evan pressed a button on a small remote. A recording began to play, voices matching exactly what Lavra had heard. Lydia's eyes darted toward Lavra, blazing. "You, street girl, how did you even get in here?" Lydia hissed. No one moved to help her when she stood, fists clenched. Evan's voice was cool and final. "Your move is over, Lydia." Within minutes, the vote was taken. Lydia and her co-conspirator were removed from any position of influence. Part 5. When the boardroom emptied, Evan turned to Lavra. "You were brilliant." "I just wanted to help," she replied quietly. "And you helped more than you know," he said, taking her hand. "Now, how do you feel about Bolly?" From that day, Laura's life was never the same. She no longer zipped around town in all weather on her scooter. Evan offered her a role in his company, and their professional meetings gradually became something more. They flew to Bolly together as a couple. Lavra saw the ocean for the first time, feeling the warm breeze and realizing that a dream had quietly become reality. Evan, for his part, no longer hid his feelings. He understood that true value lies in courage and sincerity, not status. As for Lydia, no one heard from her again. Greed and envy had led her to ruin, and Mark vanished without a trace. Months later, whispers still circulated around the office about the new assistant to the CEO, who had played a decisive role in stopping a corporate takeover. No one knew the full story, but everyone noticed how Evan looked at her with respect and warmth. Sometimes Laura still rode past Cedar Heights on her scooter, smiling to herself. That house, that delivery, had changed everything.